Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. Tracy here, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this absolutely gorgeous square. Now you might have seen mosaic squares or spike stitch squares, whatever you normally call them, made with a traditional granny square, but this one is made with the modern granny square, so it's a little bit different. And I was making a blanket with the modern granny square, and I just wondered what it would look like if I spiked the stitch. So I really like it, and I'm going to do a tutorial that just shows you how to make this particular square, not a blanket, but you can apply this square to anything you want to make. So for this particular effect, you'll need one solid colour, which is your main colour, which you start with, and then you're going to need, if you want it to look like this, a yarn with a very quick colour change. So the one I'm using is this Poundland, they're a streamers variety, but that's the new pastel rainbow one. This one is all the pink colours, but they do several. But if you don't have this yarn and you have a similar yarn that has a quick colour change, you will get this effect exactly the same. But you can use just two solid colours and it will just be as effective. It also looks pretty amazing if you use your main colour as black, but I know not many people like to work with black. So I'm going to show you with this kind of cream colour and this rainbow yarn. This is a DK weight, so I've used a 4.5mm crochet hook. You will need a darning needle if you don't work your ends in, and I'm going to show you how I work in my ends. You don't have to. I'm hoping it won't get confusing for you, but I do with mine as I go because I am not good at sewing in a ton of ends, and this will give you quite a lot of ends to sew in. If you're happy to sew them in, that's fine. So I've got myself a darning needle and a pair of scissors. So let's get started. While I'm clearing all this away, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I'll come straight back when we're ready to start. Okay, so for this particular square, I like a little circle in the centre, so I'm just going to start with a slip knot. You can do that however you normally do, and make a chain of 4. So in this tutorial, I'm just assuming that you know how to do all of these stitches. If not, I do have beginners course, which I will link above. There's a right-handed and a left-handed version of my beginners courses with all of these stitches in. So now I've got my 4 chain, I'm going to slip stitch into this first one to make a very small ring. Now don't worry if it looks very small at the moment. It will get a little bigger, but this part here is our center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, because I'm going to do a stack starting stitch. So in the UK it's a stack double crochet, in the US it's a stack single. So now I have my 2 loops. I'm going to yarn over and pull through both of those, and now I'm going to insert my hook in this side loop here, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both. I've recently done some videos that show the stack in all the different stitches, so if you want to see those, I'll put a link at the end of this video when all the videos pop in. So now this is considered my first stitch. We would normally have done 2 chain to get up to the right level. So now I'm going to, in this center ring, make 2 UK trebles or US double crochets without splitting the yarn, hopefully. Okay, so this is my first part. I'm going to chain 1, and now in the same space, in the same ring, I'm going to do 3 more. So this is the start of a traditional granny square. They're exactly the same. I am working over the tail because, as I said to you, I hate sewing my ends in. 1 more chain and another 3. One chain. Okay, if you have to pull it aside a little bit, that's fine. Just do my last 3 in here. Okay, so now I need to join it into a ring, and traditionally for me I make a seam-free granny square, but with this one I'm not really that fussed. I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to slip stitch into the top of my stack, and I'm going to go through the 2 loops just like you would if it was a normal stitch, and do a slip stitch. I'm going to chain 1, cinch it right down and end off. Cut my yarn and pull it through. Okay, so it's going to get endy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this tail that I've worked over already, get rid of that, and I'm going to change colour. So I'm going to take off my cream coloured yarn and put that over here, and I'm going to bring in my colour. Okay, so as you can see with this yarn, you can see how quick these colour changes are, and that's why I got that effect with this. I'm just going to have to wipe my hook because I feel like it is squeaking a little bit. I'm rather warm in here today. Okay, wiped. So I'm going to join my yarn opposite end to this one. I'm just going to insert my hook. This is how I do my joins. It doesn't matter if you don't. You can join however you normally would, but you want it in the centre of a chain space, right in the centre part. Okay, so I'm going to insert my hook and do 1 chain and cinch it right down, and that's how I do my join. I don't like them ever coming open. So now I'm just going to insert into that chain space and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both, and that is half of my corner. Now what I normally do is I just have my hook draped, my yarn draped over my hook, and make my first chain and chain 1 more. Now that yarn is coming with me, and I'm going to do a UK double, US single in the next chain space, and I'm working over that tail. I'm going to chain 3 and do another one in the same space, working over the tail. Okay, so now we have 2 chain between and 3 chain in our corner. So I'm going to trap that yarn again, just putting it over my hook as I make my first chain, and then do another chain, 2 again, and now we're going to go into this next chain space. Going to work over that tail again, and I'm going to chain 3 and do 1 more, working over that tail. Now that's sufficiently disappeared so I can snip it off. So let me show you what we have. Our corner, this is half a corner. Our corners are 3 chain spaces. Between, this is our side, it has 2. And we've got another corner there with 3. So now I'm going to work over this yarn. And how do I do that? Okay, well, I insert my hook into a stitch and I just pull it through. It's now come with me. So I'm chaining 2. Don't worry if you don't want to do this, it's perfectly fine. Now working over the tail, I'm going to do my first stitch into there, 3 chain, and my next 3. Sorry, my next one after my 3. I'm going to just insert my hook and bring that tail along with me to the next space. Now I'm going to chain 2, and here we are at the next space. I'm going to finish this corner with my stitch, my 3 chain, and now I'm going to slip stitch into my first UK double crochet, US single crochet, which is here, and end off this yarn. I'm having trouble getting it through. Why are you not coming through? Is it because there's a camera between us? Yes, it is. Okay, so I'm going to do 1 chain, cinch it right down, and cut my yarn. Now I've worked over that tail. Excuse me, gone dry. worked over that tail, so I'm snipping it off, getting it out of the way, because we don't want too many making us confused as to where we're going. So that's how I work over my ends. You don't have to, as I say, you can just have lots and lots of tails to sew in, if that's what you prefer. I'm now going to bring in my first colour again. And again, I want to join it in a different corner. So I'm going to join into the centre of my corner, exactly the same as before. Bring my yarn in, and I'm going to do my little knot right in the middle. There we are. Okay, so we're going to do half a corner. Insert my hook, bring my yarn through, make my cinch down chain. So now I'm going to do my stack stitch again. So I'm going to insert, pull up my loop, yarn over and pull through both. In this one side, insert my hook, yarn over, pull up the loop and go through. So now I'm going to do 2 more in this corner, but on my last one I'm going to carry my yarn. Of course you don't have to. I'm going to do my first. Okay, so now I've pulled up my loop, I just loop over. It's not going to carry it through, it's just going to bring it with me. So now it's up here, and I'm going to finish off my stitch, and I have my yarn up here. So now we're going to go into this side. We've been in the corner, we're going to go into here now, between these 2 chains and our 3 stitches. Don't worry if it pulls tight, it won't do once we start making stitches into there. So I'm going to use my yarn as well. I'm going to yarn over and make sure, like before, this is draped over it before I over my yarn, and I'm going to go in between here, working over that tail. I'm going to pull up my loop and make my stitch. And all I do now is I pull on this a little bit just to bring it in line. It might be a little puffy, so I just pull it so that it looks the same as any other stitch. So now we're going to work into this stitch here. In our 3 we have 1, where are we? 1, 2, 3. You can, I know cream is a difficult colour to see them, but believe me, black's worse. So we've got 1, 2, 3. We're going to do a UK double treble, which is a treble crochet in the US. So we're going to yarn over twice. We're going to drop down to this row, insert in between the first and the second, and bring our hook through the second and the third. And we're going to yarn over and pull it round the back of that stitch. We're going to pull it up, ignore the tail for now. We're going to pull it up, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. So we've made this long spike stitch. Now working over the tail, I'm going to make 1 more UK treble crochet in there. So it is actually still long enough to take with me, so I'm going to loop that over. Remember, it's not going through the stitch. I'm going to yarn over and then yarn over again, so it's there up the top with me again. Okay, so I'm going to loop it again and go into my corner, make my first stitch. So the first time I pull through all of those loops, and then I've got my last 2. And I give this a little pull to make sure it's buried nicely. Now I'm just going to work over it, and this will be the last time I have to work over this yarn. So I'm going to do 2 more UK trebles, US doubles, over the tail as I go. 1 chain and 3 more, and that will be the end of that little tail. If it's confusing for you, don't worry, it does become much easier as time goes on. Okay, so now we've got half a corner, we have our spike, and we've got a full corner. Now in this chain space between our 3 and the chains, we're going to do 1 UK treble crochet US double. Then we're going to do our double treble, which is a treble US, and we're going to go, there's our first, there's our second, and our third. We're going to go between the first and the second and up between the second and the third. We're going to yarn over, pull that yarn around the back and up, and now we're going to pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then pulling that aside, you can still see where you have to place your third one. And that's what it's looking like. So now we're back at the corner, and we're just going to make a nice simple corner, which is 3, 1 chain in between and another 3. Okay, so now I have another tail to work over, and just as before, I insert my hook and just pull the loop through, and it's now in the space to work over. Okay, so I'm going to do my first one as before, and then my spike between these 2 stitches. Can be a little fiddly. And then pulling this aside, you can see where you have to place it. I'm going to work over the tail at the same time. Okay, so now I'm going to just pull this through this tail to get it into that corner. This particular stitch doesn't bury the yarn as well, but I think that's enough actually. So now I'm going to work over my corner. And once I get to the end of the corner, because I've now worked over it with 6 stitches, I'm going to just snip that end off. Okay, and that way it won't be there confusing us. For me, much easier than having lots to sew in at the end. So now we've got our last spike side, and we're going to go in as we have done all the way around. Go around the back of this stitch. One more, if you have to pull it over, that's fine. Now we're going to complete our corner with 3 in this particular corner. I'm going to chain 1 and just go into the top of our stack to complete the round. I've worked lots of ways and tried to incorporate colour changes into this, and this is by far the easiest way. So now we have this centerpiece. So we're going to do the next round, and then as we kind of increase, then we'll be increasing our spikes to make this effect. Now, if you wanted to, you could just spike into a cross and leave all the rest free. It's just a matter of playing with it really. So now I'm going to remove the cream coloured yarn. I'm using a wool Jeanie, if you wonder what I'm doing. These are amazing. So much so that I had to stock them in my shop. hobbyrocks.co.uk if you haven't found it already. And all of the stuff that I'm using you can find in that shop. There's a link in the description box. So I'm just going to join my new colour. And as I said before, don't worry if you can't do the working your yarn as you go. That's fine. Just do your normal chain, your normal sewing in of ends. Okay, so we're back at the corner, and just as before, we're going to do a UK double or US single, and over this, just make sure it's over my hook when I do my first chain, my second chain, and then it comes with me. So now we're going to go in between our sets of 3, and again I'm going to just make sure that it's over. We're going to chain 2 and we're going to go between our sets of 3 again. I'm working over the tail as well as incorporating it as I go. So there we are. I'm just going to loop it over, 2 chain, and now I'm at my corner. So I'm working over that tail, and in the corner we're still doing our 3 chain and then another. So I've worked enough over that corner. There's a tiny little end for me to snip off. I'll do that soon. Chain 2 between our sets of 3, chain 2 between our sets of 3, chain 2, back at the corner, chain 3, 1 more in that corner, and again this is where I just insert my hook to take this yarn across to the next part where I'll work over it. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do all the way round until I get back to my very first half a corner. So I'm going to pause the video and I want you to do that. And don't forget to take the yarn with you if you're doing that. If not, never mind. I will see you back at the start again. Okay, so I've made it all the way round and I'm going to complete my corner. My 3 chain and then slip stitch into the top of my very first UK double, US single. Chain 1, cinch it down, snip off, and there we are. So in this next round we're going to start increasing the size of our spike stitch. That's just a bit of an end that I need to sew off there. Snip off. But that's what we're going to do in the next round. So I'm just going to change my yarn over again. Move this one out the way. So just like before, opposite side, I'm going to join my cream colour yarn into the centre of this corner. So I'm still doing my seamless corners where I can, to so you don't see the joins, but I'm not changing colour at the same corner, or you know, I prefer just ending off. So there we are. I've joined my new yarn. I'm going to just do my very first stack in there, which we've done a few times already, so I don't need to show you. 2 more, and in the last one I'll carry the yarn. And now we're going to go through this stack, but we're also going to pull up a spike stitch on here. So we're going to go through this spike, and then we're going to make a new one. So in this side, we've got 2 chain space here. I'm going to bring my yarn with me. I nearly forgot. I'm going to do my first UK treble, US double. Don't forget to pull that if you're doing it. I'm going to yarn round twice, and in the centre of these 3 below, I'm going to go around that stitch, pull it up, through 2, through 2, and through 2, and then I'm going to go back into that 2 chain space, work over that tail, and make another. That's going to be it for me for the working over my yarn this time. I'm just going to snip that off because I think it's going to get confusing with too many ends around. That one belongs down there. Okay, so now we're in this next part of the side. We're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to do our first one, and then we're going to go round the back of the actual spike stitch, and we're going to yarn and pull up. Exactly the same as before. So we're just extending this one, and then we're going to go back in the same space and complete our 3. And then in the next one we're going to do the same as we did over here. We're going to do 1. We're going to make our elongated spike into the row below. Oops. And then one more in the same space. Be careful you don't get confused and go in the corner. Just complete our 3. So now we have 3 spikes in this particular side. So I'm going to make my corner as normal. If I go too fast for you, then just pause it and catch up with me. I wanted to get through this part because you've seen the corner so many times. It's just a traditional granny corner. Now we're going to do the same as we did over here. We're going to do our first stitch. We're going to do our spike in the row below. I got a knot. I have a little bit of a yarn breakage knot. Okay, I don't know why that happened. It's not very nice, but I'm just going to have to work over it. Here we are. Okay, and I wouldn't normally do that, but I'm in the middle of a tutorial. I don't really want to have to undo it and get rid of it. Going into the spike again, and then one back in the same space, and now we're going to make our new spike in the center of those 3 below. Don't forget to pull it up a little bit, even though you are doing a UK double treble or a US treble, you still need to pull it up because it will sag down if you don't. So now you can see we're getting this really cool kind of vibe going on. So we're going to do a normal corner again in our little corner space. And now we've got that pesty tail again. It's a nice easy one to bury though. This time round we're just going to pull that. That's the beauty of this yarn, changing colour very quickly. It just buries nicely. Okay, so now we're going to work over that one. And we're going to do our spike in this row below. I'm going to work over that tail. Okay, so let's have a look. And that's what we're going to do all the way around now. I'll move that tail out of the way because it's going to be a bit confusing. So we're going to make our spike, and then we're going to go round the back of this spike on this particular part. Always take care to make sure you're going in the right parts of your this row, because they are only 2 chain spaces. Then we're going to make our corner. Again, we're going to make a spike. We're going to go into this one, and then we're going to make a spike. I'll catch up with you when I get back to this corner. Okay, so I'm all the way back. I've done my very last spike. I'm going to finish my corner exactly the same as before. My 1 chain, go into the top of my stack stitch and end off this. Okay, so now we've made a cute little square, and from that point on we are just going to do exactly the same. So on the next round, if you want to do another round, you again create the spike in this one, so it grows each time. So you start off with 1, the next time it's 3, and then the time after that is 5. So it will increase like that every time you go round. I don't think we need to do any more together, so that's just need to carry on in the same way. But thank you for watching, and as I said before, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I hope you have a lot of fun playing with this. Like I said before, if you didn't spike here, you would just get a cross, and I think that would be quite effective as well. So just give you something to play with. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.